Why hello there everyone, it's I, Gray here, and welcome back to another video where, as the title suggests, today we are going to be getting to the bottom of what is the most popular Bionicle element. For a bit of context here, LEGO Bionicle, theme came out in 2001, helped save LEGO from near bankruptcy, yada yada pinata, LEGO doesn't appreciate it enough, yada yada pinata. Okay, that's out of the way. Within Bionicle, there are technically 16 elements, but really 14 main elements, or 6 main elements and 12 secondary elements, and then there's light and shadow, which are their own funky little thing, and we're not counting them for today's polls, because shadow is an artificial element, and light doesn't mesh well with the way that I decided to research this. And that begs the question, how does one research what the most popular element is? Hosting a poll is one good option for certain. However, I wanted to take a different approach, especially seeing as I don't yet have all the eyes on me to be able to have such a poll actually mean anything. So what I did instead was I took to Google and I searched up Bionicle Toa of X MOCc. So for instance, Bionicle Toa of Fire MOCc, Toa of Ice MOCc, etc., so on and so forth, individually, and I scrolled down the entire Google page until it wouldn't give me any more results. So, here are the ground rules for this. First off, I'm almost exclusively using Google as my resource, with a slight caveat that I will visit certain websites that a Google image links to, but that's neither here nor there, and ultimately just made for a more thorough investigation. So, I'm primarily scrolling on Google, and I have just that one keyword and that entire list. Alright, second off, to adequately judge the popularity of the different elements, I only included MOCs of non-existing characters, or characters that we at least never got to see a canon form of visually within the entire time that Greg Farshtey worked at LEGO. So for instance, I could count a Toa Duma MOCc or a Toa Akmau MOCc, but I could not include the missing members of the Toa Haga or Kukua or Nikaila, for example. So that's the kind of grounds we're going with, because after all, I want to see what people want to create when they're unbound from the story, as obviously there's going to be revamps and MOCs for all the Toa characters that we've come to know and love. But just because a character's more popular doesn't mean that element is necessarily more popular. And so, additionally, when it comes to judging these MOCs, I'm also only looking for Toa MOCs, as Toa are easily the most popular thing to build, and it would just be a whole nother layer that I didn't feel was necessary to get into in order to get the results for this video. And lastly, I'm going to be judging the popularity of each element through 3 different categories. First off, their individual popularity. How much do they appear on their own within Google Images? Next up, how popular they are within groups. How many groups typically include a member of this element? And lastly, overall popularity, which is the merger or the average between their individual and team popularity. So with that all said and done, let's introduce everyone to the elements. I'm going to be going over now the 14 different elements that are going to be taking place in today's experiment. So, first off, we have the element that inspired today's video. I never really liked Toa of Plasma, and quite frankly, I'd never really seen too many MOCs for Toa of Plasma. And I was wondering, I wonder if everyone else hates Plasma as an element just as much as me. I mean, Plasma here, it's like just a better version of fire, so like why even have fire? But then, you have also lightning, which is another form of plasma, so it just makes 2 elements redundant at once, and it doesn't make sense, and the color scheme. Anyways, plasma shouldn't be an element, but it is. So, there's plasma. Then we have fire, earth, air, water, ice, stone, also kind of redundant, but that's for another day. Plant life, psionics, sonics, or sound, magnetism, iron, lightning, and gravity. So before we get to the meat and potatoes of it, I just want you to guess what the winner of each category is going to be. and what you think the least popular is going to be of each of these. Quite curious to see, because what I thought was way off from the actual truth. And so what was the truth? Well, let's start with individual popularity. In 14th place, or very last, we have Sonics, Toe of Sound. Apparently, outside of Krakua, they just really aren't that popular. Now, granted, for the individual categories, the results were fairly close to each other, and so from my results, I found that Sonics had the least representation, followed by Magnetism, and then Plant Life, and then it gets kind of weird here. We next have Water, one of the main original 6 elements, and then following Water is Fire, even more surprisingly, which means that the next one up, Stone, is somehow more popular than Fire and Water. Then above Stone is Wind, then following Wind is Lightning, and then we get to the Big 6. So what are the Big 6 for the individual? Well, we have Iron in 6th place, then we have Gravity in 5th, Plasma in 4th, Earth in 3rd, Ice in 2nd, and of course that leaves Psionics in 1st place. So that is pretty incredible. Now granted, Psionics did have a recent boost, and so did Iron with the recent fanon contests that Duckbricks held for Toa Ord and Toa Zaria. But even with those factors, I witnessed that the elements themselves did pretty fine without those characters. Alright, so let's move on to group or team popularity. In last place, we actually have Gravity, and then followed by Sonics, again in a really low position, and it actually follows the pattern where you have Magnetism after that, and then Plant Life after that, and then we get to Lightning. And then after Lightning, in 9th place, we have Plasma. Then after Plasma, we have Iron, then Psionics in 7th place, and then we get to the Big 6, which, kind of unsurprisingly, are the Big 6. So you got Stone, Wind, then Earth, then Ice, and easily, by far, Fire in 1st place. So for just a little bit of scale here, of all the results I looked at, Fire was in a whopping 18 plus of the teams I looked at. Meanwhile, Gravity was only in a measly 4. So pretty big disparity. And to me, I find it interesting, but also logical that the original 6 elements would be the most popular ones to include within a team, because we exclusively got sets of those elements. So, kinda go figure there. But with all that, that leads us to our last category, the averages of the results, overall popularity, and we round off last place with Sonics, followed by Magnetism and Plant Life, per the usual. And then we have Gravity in 11th place, then we got Lightning, and then we got a tie for 8th and 9th place between Water and Stone. And then in 7th place, we have Iron, and then we get to the Big 6. So we have Wind and Plasma tying for 5th and 6th place. Then we have Fire in 4th place, Psionics in 3rd, and Earth followed by Ice in very 1st place. And yeah, I wasn't actually expecting this. I expected Ice to be popular, but I didn't think that Fire wouldn't be in the top 3. Now granted, Fire is within the top 6 and performed decently. Like, it's just really surprising from what I saw. Now, of course, I didn't search every nook and cranny of the internet, and that would probably yield different results. But for someone just searching Google Images for mock inspirations, by far the most popular is Ice. Ice got a solid 2nd place in both the individual and group popularity. Yeah, so that was able to earn it easily 1st place. Yeah, so I want to hear your guys' thoughts, what you guys thought would be popular. Are you surprised? Honestly, I think what happened with Magnetism and Sonics is the fact that they're just kind of, well, Magnetism, we don't exactly have a clear canon idea of what it looks like. Toa Jovan, that combiner model that we had, did give us a kind of alright idea of what one could look like. It's just kind of very bland, and so it's not exactly inspiring. But thankfully, that is the only element that doesn't have a canon color scheme, so people can make what they want of it. And Sonic's is literally just metallic colors. It's not very colorful, it doesn't have its own pops, so although it's exceptionally easy to build, it's not particularly inspiring. So with that, everyone, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this experiment. I certainly learned something new, and I hope you guys did as well, and I hope this also inspires you to consider making MOCs of some of the lesser represented elements here. But yeah, with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!